here to talk about the presidential race and matters impacting Maryland is Governor Wes Moore. Governor Moore, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Ann and Shawn. Great to talk to you.
So you have been a surrogate for the Harris-Walz ticket since President Biden stepped away. What do you think Vice President Harris has to do and say to grab those voters in the swing states and the independents who maybe haven't made up their minds yet?
I think that the vice president just needs to continue to share her vision for this country. And it's a vision that we can have economic growth that supports everybody and not just some of us. It's a vision that we can actually support basic freedoms that we all hope for, things like reproductive freedoms and educational freedoms, and also a freedom to walk around your neighborhood in safety. It's also a vision where we can be respected on the global stage.
If we turn our attention, Governor, to the race to replace the seat that is being left vacant by the retirement of Senator Ben Cardin, we're talking about the race between Angela Alsobrooks and Larry Hogan. You kind of mentioned about abortion rights and restoring women's reproductive rights. Voters this fall in Maryland are going to decide whether to enshrine it in the state constitution. So how focused should Angela Alsobrooks and other Maryland Democrats be giving to other pressing issues and not the abortion front?
Well, I do think the abortion front does matter because in this race, we have somebody in Angela Alsobrooks, who has consistently fought for abortion rights and reproductive health. And she's running against somebody, the old governor, Larry Hogan, who consistently, when he was in power, actually worked against it. He vetoed legislation to support providers. He vetoed legislation to support privacy.
In a Gonzalez poll released this week, you got a 64% approval rating. That's up from 58% back in February. The pollster Patrick Gonzalez believes a big part of your boost is because of how you've handled the situation at the Baltimore Key Bridge. What do you think is resonating with Maryland voters about your work as governor?
First, I'm very humbled that the people of our state are really responding. And you see, it's not just Democrats. It's Democrats, it's independents, it's a significant chunk of Republicans. Because I think people in the state are seeing that we're working together and we're getting big things done. I mean, I think about the job numbers that we had for the month of July, where, just the month of July, Maryland gained over 6,100 new jobs. Our unemployment rate right now in the state of Maryland is 2.8%. And that is amongst the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country. When I took office, we went 8 straight years of watching how the homicide rate in Baltimore alone was 300 plus homicides for 8 straight years under the old governor. And the homicide rate in the state of Maryland had nearly doubled over an 8-year period. Well, since our administration has come on board, Maryland has had amongst the fastest drops in homicide rates in America. The last time the homicide rate was this low in Baltimore City, I wasn't born yet.
Governor, last week, the New York Times published a story that said information you put on an application for a White House fellowship in 2006 included you being awarded a Bronze Star, which in fact wasn't true. Last week, Governor, you called it an honest mistake because your senior level commanders had said you got the award when in fact you were recommended for it. Wondering this afternoon how concerned you are that honest mistake could hurt your credibility when you're trying to get people to support Kamala Harris to the White House.
I've said that it was an honest mistake that I take accountability for, that included something on an application because my senior commanding officer instructed me to include it, because it wasn't just that he recommended it, it's that he actually had vocal confirmation from also his higher ups that I was going to be awarded it, and it was a paperwork error that I didn't receive it. But the thing I also know is this, is that not only do I think, and I know with the veterans community that they understand it's an honest mistake, I think people also understand my service.
The state faces a huge deficit when it comes to transportation projects. We got a clearer picture of this yesterday about a plan to cut more than $1 billion. But the big question is, will this deficit be balanced directly in the backs of taxpayers, things like higher tolls or increases in sales tax? How do you see this shaking out?
We've got to make sure that we get our economy growing. Maryland's economy over the 7 years before I took office had grown by 3%. During that same time, the average state in this country had grown by 11. So our economy essentially had flatlined. So we've got to make sure that we're getting our economy growing and getting our economy moving. And at the same time, though, we have to make sure we're investing in infrastructure projects, particularly things that are focusing on safety, particularly on projects that are getting people from where they live to where they work, or where they live to where they worship, or where they live to where they go to school. And so I think if there's something that people have learned about our administration, we've gone now 2 straight years where we have a bipartisan balanced budget, where we believe in fiscal discipline, but we also believe in making investments to actually preserve the future of Marylanders.
Governor Wes Moore, we certainly appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Bless you guys.
We hope you can come on with us again soon. That is Maryland Governor Wes Moore.